All right, today we're going to talk about infection control and chain of infection and how we can disrupt that. But first, we need to understand some principles of infection control. All right, we have microorganisms that are all around us on our desk, your pencil right now, computer, all of that. So they are living plant or animal cells that we can't see. We got to use a microscope to see them. We have pathogenic and non-pathogenic. Non-pathogenic doesn't make us sick. It's living in our intestines, helps break down food, and all that good stuff. Pathogenic makes diseases. So we have a couple different types of pathogenic that we need to address first. And you guys probably heard of these through your biology class. So first one is bacteria. We have Bacilla or cocci, bacilla, and spirilla. Cocci are round. Bacilli look like a hot dog. And spirilla looks like a little spring. All right, so how these bacteria are arranged creates a pathogen itself. If we have two bacilli together, basic bacteria coming together, basic cocci, equals diplococci, an example, meningitis and pneumonia. So when you get pneumonia, all you got is just two little cocci coming together, little circles. So as these cocci start developing more and more, start growing and developing, they can create groups like clusters. And then as you see, if cocci are in chains, streptococcus, you guys have heard of strep before. That's all it is, a bunch of little cocci, little circles together. So kind of keep that in mind when you start thinking how these bacteria or all these pathogens are created, especially bacteria, because we know antibiotics only work on bacteria infection, not viral. All right, so if we got clusters like grapes are put together, that's considered staph. And we know staph is no bueno, no good. It can cause boils, wound infection. And then it talks about the rod shape, which I mentioned before, is bacilli. So we got these bacilli in a chain together, can give us a different type of pathogen. So many bacilli have flagella and can form spores. So we know flagella is the only tail-like substance on a cell that helps propel or move the cell. So if we have bacilli, we can have tuberculosis, tetanus, botulism, and we know botulism, nothing to play with. That's when people have Botox injection. So Botox affects the muscle paralysis and it just paralyzes it. That's why people can't smile when they get Botox injection, because it paralyzes the muscle. So that's what bacteria, bacilli can do to a muscle. So you're basically injecting someone with bacteria, bacilli, when you give them Botox. So if you guys ever considered Botox, that's exactly what you're doing, injecting bacilli bacteria. So bacteria in spirilla, shaped like a spring, like I mentioned, can lead to syphilis. We know usually this is a sexually transmitted infection, but it can also develop into like neurological. There's 3 stages of syphilis: primary, secondary, and tertiary. And tertiary syphilis can kill you. So syphilis is not a condition that you ever want to leave untreated, because that long term has deadly effects. All right, let's kind of talk about the protozoa. So, one celled animal organism often found in decaying matter and contaminated water. Examples of this: malaria, uh, trichomonas. We don't really see a lot of this in our countries because our water systems are so developed that it it's kind of filtered out. So maybe like a third world country, this may be an issue, but protozoa is found in decaying matter and contaminated water. Next one, fungi. To me, I'm a fungi. I don't know about you, but that's me. We're talking about the plants. So a plant-like organism that lives on dead organic matter. Usually these grow in the woods where it's dark under in a shady area. We'll see like mushrooms. So basically this is mushrooms. Mushrooms is fungi. So I don't know if you like mushrooms on your pizza or whatever, but yeah, this is the same thing. This can be very good for us if we eat the right mushrooms. So it's got what's called a beta glucan, which is the strongest antioxidant we can take in. That helps break down free radicals in our body and just leaves us overall more healthy. So if you like mushrooms, eat mushrooms, they're good for you. If you don't like mushrooms, like myself, then so be it. But we can also find, if we have an excessive growth of mushrooms, ringworm, athlete's foot, thrush. I know one time for myself, I've got ringworm. I had a little dog, and dogs go outside and they dig in the dirt, and he got this fungi on his nails. So what do dogs do when you come home from class or work or whatever? They jump up on you. And when they do, their claws kind of go into your shins or scratch you on the arm. And when they scratch you, that little wound can feed or have an access point for the fungus to grow. And then you can develop ringworm from that. So be careful on that. It's fairly common. A lot of people get some type of ringworm or athlete's foot because it's our feet are in the sock, the shoe, and it gets moist and sweaty. And we just got to make sure we wash them and let them dry out. So that should pretty well take care of it. So here's an example of a child with thrush. So thrush grows on the tongue. When babies are born, their immune system is not that strong, so it can't fight off this bacteria or this fungus like adults can. So actually, this is my child. This is when she was like 3 or 4 days old, and she developed thrush on her tongue. It kind of looks like a milky icing. So like the fondant cakes, how that has that smooth, frosty topping. This is actually what it looked like. And I know she wasn't happy, but I was like trying to take pictures of it because I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. But I'm sure she was not very comfortable by having this. However, 3 or 4 days, it can develop from breast milk, especially. Remove it and get some type of antifungal uh, uh, medication, and it pretty well knocks it out pretty quick. And she was fine and no long term problems associated with this. All right, rickettsia, parasitic microorganisms that cannot live outside the body. So this is a parasite. We all know parasites. They live on hosts. And you guys have been taught this from biology class. Fleas, lice, ticks, and mites. This can be caused by ticks. Ticks can carry this, and when they bite you or other animals, can lead to Rocky Mountain spotted fever, can lead to Lyme disease, all those conditions, because they're a host or a carrier for this. Virus can only be reproduced in living cells, spread from blood or body secretions. So this is not easily spread. So this is, like I mentioned earlier, Viruses are not affected by antibiotics. So if you have emphysema, the flu, basically, and you go to the doctor and try to get healed or treated, they're only going to give you something to treat your symptoms because they know that they cannot prescribe you anything to knock out this virus. There's really no medication that can kill a virus. So antibiotics only work on bacteria. And common cold, the flu, chicken pox, hepatitis A, AIDS, COVID, all of those are viruses. So our body has to run its course, increase our body temperature to help fight it off. Make sure you're going through plenty of fluids, all that stuff, your body can most of the time fight it off unless you're immunosuppressed from other conditions. A normal, healthy individual is pretty well able to fight off a virus given the proper nutrition and fluid intake. All right, so we got two types of infectious diseases, endogenous and exogenous. So let's break the word down. Endogenous. Endo means inside. Exo means outside. You also heard is like exoskeletons. Yeah, skeleton on the outside. So exogenesis means it has to be born on the outside of a body or a host. Endo means it has to be born or developed inside the host. Nosocomial is basically any condition carried by a healthcare worker, because we know a lot of people get sick when they go in the hospital. Let me repeat that. A lot of people get sick when they go in the hospital because think about it. These nurses and doctors are around so many conditions that it gets on their clothes, their hands. They do their best to help not transmit any conditions. However, it does still exist. So when you're exposed to all these conditions and you're able to build immunity to them, it boosts your immune system. So really it's a case of eat clean dirt is what I've always been taught. What that means is the more you're exposed to something, your stronger immune system gets. I'm not saying go out and hang out with somebody that's got COVID, because that way you can build your immune system against COVID. If it's too strong, it will affect you and you will go through the sickness. So it's a matter of building your natural immunity to different conditions. All right, let's talk about the chain of infection. So chain of infection, this will be on your clinical certified medical assistant test. So make sure you're getting all this down. So first we have to have an infectious host. All right, this host has to have, or the agent has to have a host that it clings to. And I'll give you an example here in a second. The next step would be this host, once it's in the body, it has to be able to get out. So that's the portal of exit. Next step is the mode of transmission. So it's got to be able to transmit from one individual to the next. Like I said, I'll give you an example of all this here in a second and hopefully make it all make sense. Port of entry. The host has to be susceptible and their immune system has to be just right for this agent to take effect. So that goes into the susceptible host. All those steps are the whole process of a chain of infection. You guys will hear this today, next year, and the year after until you get this completely down. So just focus on it now. Get a good understanding of it. Agent, host, exit, transmission, entrance, susceptible host. All right, so what I want to do now is kind of give you an example of this and hopefully make it make sense for you. So let's use an example of COVID, because that's pretty common on what we see around. That's your infectious agent, COVID. All right, so this COVID virus affects an individual. This individual has to have a way for that virus to get out. So say they sneeze onto someone else, and then the other person scratches their nose or something like that, where they sneeze on their arm, and now they're susceptible. This is what I want to bring your attention to. So looking back over the steps again, say we got COVID, susceptible host. What are the steps that the CDC and society took against reducing the spread of COVID? All right. First of all, we're all susceptible hosts because it's a new virus. We're not exposed to it. We've never been exposed to it, so it's our immune system's not used to whatever it is, the virus. All right. So exit a portal. So what have we done during the epidemic to reduce the exit of viruses spread for individuals? We wore a mask, right? Mask. Everybody had a mask on. Okay. Let's say if that person sneezed, they sneezed into their own mask. That blocked a little bit of transmission. The next step, mode of transmission. What did we tell individual? How far away should we be from another individual? Like 6 feet. Because when we sneeze, that sneeze can go 4 to 5 feet. So they found the magic number is about 6. So if you're at least 6 feet away, you're probably not catching whatever the other person's sneezing. Portal of entry. Again, we're all wearing masks, which blocks a lot of the agent from getting into the body. And the last one, what do we do to make the host less susceptible to the virus? They develop a vaccine. So that reduced the susceptible host ability to the COVID virus. So think about that. The CDC hit every one of these steps, and you guys practiced every one of these steps as the epidemic went on. Now we're just kind of looking at the chain of infection and how scientifically its viruses are passed on. So think about that one. All right, so let's move on. Aseptic. These are 3 concepts that you really need to get down. So antiseptic, disinfectant, and the last one is sterilization. So I'm going to go back to the antiseptic. So antiseptic is like alcohol, betadine, things like that, to where we can use them. They inhibit growth of pathogens, but they don't completely kill it. All right, disinfectant is an antiseptic, but it can damage your skin. Example, boiling water, bleach. We all know we shouldn't be putting bleach on our skin. Some people do it. I don't recommend it. But what's that doing to our skin? Other than damages our cells on our skin, it decreases the normal flora. We have normal flora, normal bacteria on our skin to help break down common encounters with viruses, bacteria, all that stuff. So as you put boiling water, bleach, antiseptic on your skin, you're leaving it more susceptible to host or agents to come on your skin and infect your body. However, is this better than washing our hands? No, we should always be washing our hands. That's the best way. But say we've been playing in the dirt, on the playground, it's time for lunch. If we got some antiseptic, we don't have soap and water, let's use some antiseptic on our hands to break down some of the dirt and stuff like that we've been playing in, to decrease any antigens that may be on there. So antiseptics are good. We just gotta watch overusing them, because like anything else, viruses, pathogens adapt, and they get used to what's in, say, Germ-X, the triclorazane, which is what breaks down bacteria. So we're going to have a superbug possibly develop later on down the road that's going to be susceptible to any antiseptic. This is my theory on that. So we'll have to wait and see, but this is me putting it on record, and then down the road we'll see if I'm right or not. All right, so antiseptic does not bother the skin. Disinfectant can bother the skin, and sterilization kills the skin. Steam, gas, radiation, chemicals. This is for like hospital utensils or anything we want to completely clear off any bacteria, viruses, fungi, anything like that. We want to kill it all. And we do that through those processes. So I hope you got something from it. Go back and rewatch it, listen to it again. And then if you have any questions, please let me know, and be sure to finish do the reflection questions at the end. All right. See ya.